I appreciate everyone joining us here. It's a full house. This is great. This should be a fundraiser. 6 years ago, during the election campaign, Progressive Conservatives promised not to raise your taxes, and we didn't. 4 years ago, we promised not to raise your taxes, and we haven't. Today, I'm going to reiterate that promise to New Brunswickers for this upcoming election. We will not raise your taxes. But we will go a step further. We will reduce your taxes. And we do this, and we're able to do this because we can, and because we've been fiscally responsible since we started from the very beginning. If re-elected this fall, a Progressive Conservative government will cut the HST New Brunswickers pay by 2%. We'll cut. That's right. We will cut the HST by 1% in the first budget, 25-26, and 1% more in the second budget, 26-27. All the while, we maintain our balanced budget.
Why now? Why not start this process in this budget or in previous budgets when we've seen record surpluses over the last number of years?
Well, I think in this budget was last March, and our numbers will not be in yet for the final audited report for last year. And we're tracking, what is happening this year in terms of expenditures. So having the ability to actually be able to reduce taxes is a commitment that I made from the very beginning. And for us to continue that commitment and make it well known that our focus will continue, the performance of this government will continue, and we will balance out how we move forward so that everyone here that's in our province today or wants to look at New Brunswick to come back here today will see us as a jurisdiction that continues to reduce costs for families and for individuals and continues to be a place to live and work for our families.
Now, why in 2025, 2026 and not 2024, 2023, 2022? We saw very large surpluses in some of those years.
So I will answer that because consistently we have seen governments announce tax cuts or announce spending programs before they could actually afford them. I didn't do that in 2018 and people said you'll never get elected. Well, we almost didn't. The capital projects that were there at the time, we actually canceled a lot of them, but I would say that just about everyone, if not everyone, are fully underway or completed at this point because we could do it at a time we could afford it. In 2020 was no different. I ran in a time when we knew that we actually had a budget and we ran on that budget. In this case, I've been 6 years in. We have a team that's focused on doing what's right for New Brunswick, but doing it in a way that we can prudently manage it. So we learn a lot as we go, and we learn our capabilities as we go. And this is one of those learnings, and we're getting better, and we're getting stronger every day, and this is a reflection of that.
Candidates for this election, or you have a new slate. Any concern there that, the people who followed you to this point may say, no, I had faith in the others, and I'm not ready to, re-elect the Higgs government because of a new slate?
I'm excited with the team that is running and standing up and being counted for us because, we're all focused, we all have great alignment, and we're working towards the future in this province and continuing that momentum. We're all on the same page, and that's an exciting position for me to be in. The challenges that we face are real, but when you go in with a team that's consolidated in their views on how we're going to get there and committed to each other to make it happen, it works. And I'm excited about that opportunity in the fall.
Yeah, so you won't be re-elected, but you have people that decided to leave your government and to leave the party. So as a leader, how do you feel when you see that?
Well, as I mentioned at the beginning, hasn't been an easy year, and people had different reasons for leaving. We had 5, I think, that had a planned retirement, and we had another number that didn't agree with the policy we had around parents. We started back in June. And, I need to reiterate that we will continue to focus on the ability for parents to raise their kids and find ways to make sure that that's a reality in our society. Personally, and with the team that we've discussed this many times, we believe it is a foundational requirement in our communities and in our life here in New Brunswick.
There is some issues happening right now within MePower. We know that the increase of cost of electricity might be just the beginning. Are you worried that an increased cost of electricity will negate what you just announced today?
Well, it won't negate it, but it will have an impact, you're right. But we're seeing that affordability everywhere, and so this will be, you know, certainly less tax charged there, but it will be less tax in other areas to help offset. We have the home heat program that we put in place. It's like a $400 million program that is probably 30 to 40% through at this point. And that's to reduce consumption for people that are making less than $70,000 a year, reduce consumption by 30% in their home. So prices of electricity may go up, consumption will go down. So that's why we put that program in place.
About getting rid of the carbon tax, I was wondering if any, what measures should be put in place to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in New Brunswick?
So we are well ahead of schedule in relation to our targets for greenhouse gas emissions. But I would say this, and it's a conversation that we had certainly at our meetings, and it's a conversation we need to have federally about the role that Canada can play in reducing worldwide emissions. So the challenge we have is the philosophy of the federal government has been place the burden on individuals in order to raise the cost of transportation, the cost of fuel, and cause people to change their habits. And while I understand that it can have an impact, it's having an unexpected consequence or unintended by the huge increases we've seen in groceries. That was never factored into the discussion, or the building supplies and other issues. So we need to look at the impact we can have worldwide. And worldwide, we're sitting on a resource, which you often hear me talk about, the cleanest gas reserves in the world. And these gas reserves can be used to shut down coal plants around the world. And China have 1,100 operating coal plants. And they're building like 2 a week. And when I asked the question, because the 20% target for 26 of new cars being electric, so I asked the question because they're currently at that threshold in BC. So I asked the Premier, I said, so where none of those cars, where were these cars built? None of them were built in Canada. And of course they were. They're all built overseas, most of them in China. So if we're prepared to buy electric vehicles from one of the most environmentally unfriendly countries in the world and drive down the road thinking we're doing our part, I think we need to rethink philosophy. We can have we're talking about 1.8% of emissions in Canada that we're focused on, when we could target 15% of the emissions worldwide and shut down coal plants.